Hey there traders, it's Jeff from thestockbandit.com. Thanks for joining me for this video. It's time once again that we take a look at the indices as we head into a brand new week of trading. Now, the big question on the minds of all traders at this moment is, are we entering a pullback stage? Well, the answer is yes and maybe. And now let me just kind of go a little further into that. Yes, meaning that we have pulled back a little bit off the most recent highs. For the NASDAQ, last week we saw this index give up about 2%. It's now about 3.1% off of its high, or I should say, from the high to this low was a 3.1% move, and we did see a little bit of a rebound on Friday late in the day to recover some of what was given back. Now, we had been seeing this multi-week gap that had held in place going back to the close on March the 4th. That was at the 3182 level, and I noted the potential for this to get filled at some point. We did see that get filled on last week, and then we of course have rallied back to narrowly hold above this lower end of the channel, which is at 3200, and we're still kind of beneath the upper end of the channel where we briefly cleared that resistance up here at that 3265, 63 area, and we got just briefly through there only to see a little bit of profit taking kick in. Now, whether that's tied to econ stuff, whether that's Japan related, whether that is tied to North Korea, there's a slew of different reasons why people might wonder whether we pulled back or not. The fact of the matter is, it's been a while since we saw a little bit of a dip in the market, and it's a healthy thing. Now, whether it continues going forward or not, I don't know, and we'll just have to wait and see. I think that Friday's low, 3168, is going to be the level that we'll keep a very close eye on here in the days ahead. If we do see a continued rebound off of Friday's low, we'll need to, of course, gauge the volume as kind of the temperature for that. Just how strong of a rally do we get, and does it get met with some selling? Does this continue to provide some major overhead for this index, or are we able to snap right back and push on through and continue higher? So this has potential to serve as a nice solid base, a good foundation for another rally to begin. But with this little breakdown that we saw last week, it's going to be really interesting the next couple days to see if the bulls are willing to fight back and produce some kind of an upside breakout, and maybe even create a little bit of a bear trap here with this potential breakdown if it doesn't stick. So we'll just have to see going forward. We've got to remain very objective in the days ahead. For the S&P 500, we saw this index pull back last week. It got down to 1539, and this 1530 area is the big level. Now, for the week, it was down about 1%. It's now, well, I should say, from the high that it currently reached down to Friday's low was about a 2% pullback, so not a very deep correction here. And this index, the all-time high is still at 1576, so we're still about 23 points away. That's certainly within reach for this index. However, it's going to have to continue to push on higher, and Friday's little rebound back up is going to need to see some pretty immediate follow through, in my opinion, if this dip is going to prove to be a viable one at that. For the Russell 2000, this index is the one that I last weekend noted most heavily had some interesting characteristics about it. It had led the way higher off this November low, and this thing was up some 24% up into the highs, but then it had entered this trading range more recently, and we noted that this 954 level was a big zone for this index, and it was really just unable to get back through that level. Even though the previous week, Easter week, we saw the other indices breaking out and starting to reach new high, the Russell did not participate, and I know that that was very important. And so then last week we saw this index continue to slide lower as it failed to clear that resistance area. It did break through this 932 area that had been the prior high and then had served as some support here. We got through that, and now we are now beneath it at the 923 level. Now the reaction low on Friday was at 916, but this index off this high, which technically is right back here, 954 to Friday's low, that's a 4.7% pullback. So that's a pretty decent little pullback here for the Russell. What's going to be very interesting to see is how does a bounce get treated from here? Is it embraced? Is this carving out a higher low on the daily chart, which certainly is in place for now, but is it embraced as a buying opportunity, or do we happen to struggle with this 932 level on the way back up and would start to see some resistance on some type of a rebound attempt? Now for the week, this thing gave up 3%, and so that's definitely nothing to ignore. But for now, the Russell is the one that's starting to kind of show the biggest signs of weakness, and that is the more speculative index of the bunch. I think that that's notable. Finally, we'll just take a quick look here at the VIX, which is the volatility index, and typically we see the VIX spiking as concerns and worry and fear enter the marketplace, and we are seeing that the VIX is now off a little bit from this 12.5 support area that it's been hugging lately, but it certainly has not made any meaningful strides to the upside. In fact, hasn't even busted through 16 of late. We got it up through the 15.5 area on Friday briefly, only to retreat and close down beneath 14. So the VIX is still not signaling any real fear, and of course with the market right near its highs, it's no big surprise that we're not seeing a lot of concern at this moment. Now that could certainly change going forward, and you've got this sell in May, go away mentality that a lot of traders have, and everyone likes to be a little bit early. So I think that April could be a very pivotal month for this market if we are going to correct, but that's going to really place great importance on the coming days, and especially as we start to enter earnings season. We're starting to see a little bit this coming week. It's really going to start picking up after this week, but that's really going to set the tone going forward. And again, it's a market of stocks. We've got to continue to find good trading opportunities. If you're looking for some to add to your own, stop by thestockbandit.com. Check out the free trial that we're offering right now. We'd love to show you what we're all about and become part of your daily process in the markets. Thanks for joining me for this video. I will have more for you soon, but until then, trade like a bandit.